This episode is brought to you by Hoodies Vintage. Hey New York sports fans, looking for a blast from the past? Well, look no further than Hoodies Vintage. They offer some of the best quality, nostalgic clothing from all your favorite teams. The Knicks, Jets, Giants, Rangers, and more. With the way some of our favorite teams have played recently, who wouldn't want to go back and relive some of the best periods of New York sports through clothing? Some examples of the timeless classics Hoodies Vintage offers include a pristine 1994 Rangers Stanley Cup snapback, a vintage Patrick Ewing jersey, and a 1990s Knicks denim bomber jacket. Also looking to sell or trade some of your nostalgic New York sports gear? Well, then look no further, as they offer that as well. I've already got my nostalgic sports gear in preparation for the upcoming football season. Make sure you get yours too before it's too late at Hoodies Vintage on Instagram. Also brought to you by First and 10 Sports. Any sports fan can give you their biased opinions or rattle off obscure trivia that impress drunken guys at a bar. But for sports news and insight that goes beyond the headlines, we read firstand10sports.com. On one site, we get fantasy football advice, unique coverage of the NFL, the NBA, international football and combat sports, pop culture and style news guys appreciate, and profiles and photos of some of the hottest women online. With the NBA Finals, the NFL Draft, and the World Cup right around the corner, First and 10 Sports is a must-read. At least you'll meet some of the hottest female sports personalities and wags, wives and girlfriends, from around the world. First and 10 Sports is on Instagram and Facebook at First and 10 Sports and at Twitter at First_10_sports.
The excitement in the booth.
Alright guys, hello, welcome back to another episode of the New York Sports Extra podcast. My name's Nick, back along with my co-host Joe and Ambro, and today we're going to be breaking down the New York Yankees 2018 season to see if they can go ahead and get that 28th ring, and today we're joined by Chris Shearn of the Yes Network. Chris, say hello.
Hey, it's my pleasure to be with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
The pleasure's all ours, Chris. All ours. Why don't you give a brief sort of description of who you are and what you do for Yes Network for people who may not be familiar with you?
I've been there since launch in 2002. I started as an associate producer on the Mike and the Mad Dog show. Worked my way up to being on-air talent. That was in 2004, so I've been doing that for 14 years. I started out doing stuff during the Mike and Chris show. And then I spun that into doing the batting practice show, and then that has spawned off into the Nets pre- and post-game show, filling in for Bob Lorenz on the Yankees pre- and post, also filling in for Meredith Marakovitz at the stadium. I am pretty much like Joe McEwing. I'm Mr. Super Utility.
You're like Brandon Drury, hopefully, if he plays good for the Yankees.
Yeah, there you go.
Swiss Army knife, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's who I am.
Oh, it's really great to have you on, Chris. Let's dive straight into it with Greg Bird. We saw he was injured in spring training. Is this a serious injury, Chris, in your opinion?
Well, anything that has to do with his foot is serious, you know. And then when the general manager says he's concerned, you you should be concerned too. He still has to go to another doctor tomorrow. The MRI and the X-ray came back, and it showed there was some not damage. I don't want to say damage, but there was some inflammation there. Mm-hmm. So the second test on Monday is going to tell us, you know, how long he's going to be out potentially. But it's just terrible because there's so much potential with him, and it's not his fault. It's just his body not cooperating with him. And unfortunately, it's that same foot. It's his plant foot when he swings, his right foot, and that's a problem. That's a problem. Either foot, really, when you're batting is a huge issue. You guys know if you've played baseball, you need to have everything underneath you. And, you know, it took him almost all of last year to get back for the playoff run. So this is definitely something you don't want to see as spring training is about to break. You thought for that one glimmering second that the Yankees were going to have every piece of their lineup intact. and now they may not. This doctor on Monday might say something different, but I don't know. You have to look at it, when it comes to this guy, you have to look at it as the negative before you can look at it as the positive.
Well, how much do you think Greg Bird means to this lineup moving forward in case of an injury? So after, you know what I mean?
Look, he's a key cog. He really is. He is a big part of the lineup. But if you take him out, as you did last year, and you didn't have Giancarlo Stanton last year, and Bird was out for most of the year, so he is a big piece of it. But I think a guy like Tyler Austin, who's been chomping at the bit. Don't forget, guys, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries, too. I mean, the injury bug has bitten Austin and Bird way too much. And now if he's the one who gets the opportunity, if Bird cannot break camp with the club and he starts the season on the DL, you know, Austin's going to slide in, and, you know, he's worked hard, and he deserves the opportunity. And there's some other contingency plans the Yankees could use over there at first base. I mean, Neil Walker has been playing, you know, first in spring. As I said, Tyler Austin, he could fill in easily. So it's not that. And if you look at the lineup, it's Bird, it's Judge, it's Stanton, it's Sanchez, it's Didi. You know, you still have the top four right there that can just absolutely get runs across the plate for the Yankees. And you know, let's not forget about Aaron Hicks. Everybody forgets about Aaron Hicks. He's key to this team as well. And I said and Tyler Wade has had a great spring. Neil Walker, you know, they bring him aboard late. And Drury from, you know, the trade with the Diamondbacks. This team is still set up big time with the lineup. Even if, and it's still if, Greg Bird isn't in there on opening day.
Now, going off what you said before earlier, and we've seen with Neil Walker, you know, changes up in the lineup. Could Yankee fans expect to see Gilbert Torres possibly called up to third base and have Brandon Drury at first?
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see it happening. I mean, I'm not the general manager. I'm not calling the shots for the Yankees. But I think they saw that Torres. Let's also remember he really didn't make the big jump in the minor leagues last year. Gleyber Torres, you know, he still needs, you know, to put it in a non-baseball way, he still needs to cook a little bit, I think, down on the farm. He's only 21 years of age, so I don't think the Yankees are in a big rush to get him up here, even with if there is an injury to Greg Bird. I don't think they're going to shuffle a lineup around that much to get him up here. They don't have to rush him to get to the major leagues. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen. They're still stacked with the moves they made, bringing in a guy like Drury, bringing in a guy like Neil Walker. I mean, Brian Cashman has done a tremendous job. There are contingency plans in place, and I think he knows. I mean, with the injury history of Bird, he's got to protect himself. He can't go into a season and not have a backup plan, a plan B or a plan C. And he did that in spring training, and he's showing you, the Yankees, you know, this could have been another transition year, you know, with Stanton not in the fold, but he did come into the fold. They are going for it. This is World Series or bust for this team, and it's going to be an exciting year, regardless of whether Bird breaks camp or not.
Chris, do you think the Yankees regret cutting Adam Lind now?
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, they have to do their due diligence, and they bring these guys in, and they're the talent evaluators. I don't think they regret it. I think they have their guys in place, and they know what they have in their guys that they have right now. And I don't think Tyler Wade has played at first base at all, but I wouldn't be shocked if maybe he starts getting reps over there. The guy is very athletic. We saw that at second base. Neil Walker, too, he was playing first base as well. You might want to keep Wade at second and throw Walker over there at first. He's a switch hitter. He's a professional hitter, that's for sure. So I don't think they have to come up with any fancy moves, and I don't think they have to feel like they let somebody go and they regret it now either.
Right. So I think one of the best trades Cashman made this offseason was bringing in Drury from the Diamondbacks. We saw what happened the last time. Of course, he brought in a infielder from the Diamondbacks. Where can where can you see Drury fitting in? Maybe at second base or third base. Maybe bring up Andujar at some point and maybe push a Neil Walker away to the bench. How do you think he's going to fit in?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see him at third base. I think for sure he's your opening day third baseman. You take a look at his numbers with the Diamondbacks, 267 last year, 13 homers, 63 ribbies, and it's not like there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Drury to do anything with this lineup constructed the way it is. I mean, that's the way I always thought of this season. If you're counting on your 7, 8, and 9 hitters, and don't get me wrong, Hicks might be down there with them, and he had a turnaround season last year. But if you're relying on those guys with the with the top-heavy guys you have, even without Bird, there's something wrong. I mean, there's a lot of slumps going on. But I think Drury's going to play third. We have not seen the last of Miguel Andujar. I like the fact that you brought him up. He crushed the ball in spring training, turning a lot of heads. When I was down there in Tampa, I think I was there for 36 hours, but at least I got to go. When I got down there, he was up and he was taking BP. And there were, most of the fans had left because Stanton and Judge had taken their swings, but there were a decent amount of fans still left at George Steinbrenner Field, and Andujar was taking some hacks, and he hit a couple out. And you know how it is, guys. There's that big bellowing New York voice. It just said, "We found our answer." So this kid, the only thing with him, and when I was down there and what I read and everything else, it's his defense. He still has to shore up his defense. The bat is there, that's obvious, but he just has to work on his D, and I'm pretty sure that's why he's down there at AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre. But I don't think he'll be shelved there too long during the season. He's going to be needed at some point.
From what you said before concerning Drury and not putting so much on him, too much concern at third base, do you think the same could be said at first base? With the lineup constructed of how it is, with your power three guys with Sanchez, Judge, and Stan, do you think they're worried so much as production at the first base position?
Well, you're always worried about the corner infielder. You want to get some power, and you want a guy to hit for average. Absolutely. And I think we're jumping to conclusions before we know what's happening with Greg Bird, but it's not good. I mean, it's okay to jump to conclusions with him. But again, this is just a different kind of animal. I mean, if this is the Tampa Bay Rays, yeah, you're going to be thirsty for those numbers from the corners. You know what I mean? But this is a team, just look at it. I mean, you're going to have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez, Didi Gregorius. They're in the lineup every day.
Yeah.
They're in the lineup every day. So, I mean, it's just a different kind of animal, and it's a different kind of lineup to be worried about. And you're absolutely right. You're 1,000% correct. You look at a baseball team, your corners are where you're getting your power and everything else from. So it's not wrong to think that way, but you have to flip the script now with this team, and you have to just say to yourself, am I really going to worry about that? Am I really going to worry if Tyler Austin is going to give me power and production over there?
You got the 3, 4, 5 hitting 30, 40 home runs a year. See,
that's the thing that makes me laugh about Yankee fans out there. I always ask them, I say, how many guys do you want to hit 20 home runs?
I mean, these guys are going to hit 300 home runs this year. What do you want from them,
I was talking to Kenny Singleton when I was down there in Tampa, and the question that keeps coming up all the time when I do a Facebook Live for the Yes Network is, when are we getting Machado? When are we getting Machado? And I go, calm down. How many All-Stars
do you
want on this team? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, did the Royals win the World Series like that? Did the Giants win the World Series like that? I mean, I'm not going to poo-poo having Manny Machado on my baseball team, but you have to be smart about this. And the Yankees want to stay below this threshold with the salary. You're going to pay Manny Machado to come in here when you have Didi Gregorius.
Then you got to play Judge.
Right.
Then you got to play Judge.
Right. You got to pay all these guys, and you have to. CC Sabathia, what's he going to pitch till he's 50? You think he's still going to be this? And look, CC was a savior last year.
Oh, no question about it.
From being around this guy, and I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm just very passionate about this team, guys.
Yeah.
It's completely understandable.
Where are we?
CC, was absolutely, if I could be blasphemous, he was pretty much Jesus last year. I mean, that guy before he got hurt, I think he was 6-0 with a .99 ERA when he went out to Anaheim and he hurt his hamstring. Yeah. I mean, we were in the studio looking at this going, who knew this was going to happen? Who knew CC Sabathia was going to tie for the team lead in wins with Luis Severino, for crying out loud? And I could tell you from experience being around this guy, interviewing him post-game, talking to him before games, he is like the Charlton Heston of Major League pitchers. You could take the ball out of his cold, dead hand. He is a competitor, and every fifth day, he might give you 5, but he's going to give you 5 of the best innings that he can give you. And I would take 5 of him on my team any day because of how he battles.
Right, it's really crazy how the Yankees went from being, the lovable, young, energetic team to 1 year later the big bad empire again. Yeah.
Quick transition.
This team was supposed to win 80 games last year. What happened to 80 games?
Think about that. And think about this, guys. Think about this. I don't know if you know this stat, but our research department reminds me all the time. They had 23 blown saves. But more important than that, they had 91 wins last year, right? And 23 blown saves. They also had 26 one-run losses.
Wow.
Think about that. This is a team that was supposed to win 80 games. They won 91, and they lost 26 games by 1 run.
That's incredible.
That's
insane. The fans will definitely show up for that.
And they added Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's just, you look at it, and it's just like, God. But the concern with me, the bullpen is great. The bullpen's going to be solid again. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to realize that. The lineup, solid. Even without Bird, you would want him in there because it would be a true murderer's row 2.0, like everybody healthy with him in there. It's not too shabby without him either. The one thing that concerns me is the same thing that concerned me and everybody else last year, and is why they were predicted to win 80 games, and it's the starting rotation. Now, you take Luis Severino. Does he build on last year? Conventional wisdom tells you, yes, he's going to take another step up the rung of the ladder. He's going to be okay. Masahiro Tanaka, from his unbelievable run in the postseason, I mean, that guy was lights out. He was, let's face it, at the beginning of last season and at parts during last, he was terrible. He was terrible. He was up and down. He was never consistent. But when the bell rang on postseason, if that's the Masahiro Tanaka you're going to get at the beginning of the season and for most of the way, because you're going to have your peaks and valleys as a pitcher. But if that's what you get out of him, okay, fine, solid. CC Sabathia is your 3 going into the season. You would hope CC is going to do exactly what I just said before, take the ball every 5th day and give you 5 or 6 of the best innings he can give you. And the best thing about having the problem this year with the starters as opposed to last year, you didn't know what the lineup was last year, guys. You didn't know what Judge was going to do. Judge was supposed to start the season at AAA, for crying out loud. They were toying with that idea of not bringing that guy up with the team and having him quote-unquote cook a little bit more with Scranton. I mean, can you imagine if that happened? The guy hit 52 freaking home runs. So you could just imagine, the revisionist history if he starts off down at the minors last year, but it didn't happen. But now, you could have these guys like Sonny Gray. This is his first full season with the Yankees. He's your 4. I mean, Sonny Gray was top 2 with the A's. He's your 4. So if he could stay consistent, and Montgomery can just keep spinning the way he spins. I mean, he's like an artist, this kid, the way he pitches. He's very crafty. The only thing that bothers me is a lot of deep counts because of so many pitches that he has in his arsenal, lots of nibbling. But he's another one. He every one of these guys, all you have to do this year is keep giving this offense a chance. I mean, we saw it with last year's team. They'd be down 7 runs. They were down 9-1 to the Orioles. I'm pretty sure they came back and won that game.
No lead is big enough for this team.
Yeah, I think it was 14-11. They were down 9-1 and won 14-11. So no lead is big enough. And the starters will be again a concern. But now that you have that lineup, it's like if you think about a high wire act, somebody walking over a little high wire. Those are the starters up there, and that lineup is the net that will always catch them.
Right. Chris, I think for me one of the biggest concerns with the Yankees last year was their road play. I mean, we saw in the playoffs they lost the first 2 games in Cleveland, and I think they lost all the games in Houston. And they were what, barely a 500 team on the road last year. What kind of approach do you think Aaron Boone will have concerning road games this year?
I really don't know. I mean, that's a great question. I just don't know how. Obviously, I've never played Major League Baseball in my life, and I don't know what it's like to, go on these road trips. But I don't know what. Maybe keep the routine similar. Don't stray away from anything that you do at home. It's tough on players. They're not in their beds. They're not at home. You know what I mean? It's not always the best situation for guys, especially those lengthy road trips, especially out to the West Coast. It's always dicey when you're dealing with those road trips. So I really don't know that answer. That's a question for Aaron Boone and what he's going to do. If I was in his position and I was the manager, I'd have a better answer. I apologize.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that they have a year under their belt now. So, the experience will go a long way with, their record on the road. What is your thoughts on that?
Ask me that again. I'm sorry.
So, I think with, the whole road record and thing, whatever was said, I think the experience and the year under their belt could help them tremendously.
Oh yeah, I think that's huge. I think that's huge because you had you had Aaron Judge, you had Gary Sanchez. Both of them. It was their first full year. Yeah. And Sanchez was hurt for the first month, and Austin Romine came in and did a tremendous job, just like Perez did when Didi went down in the WBC, and he couldn't play in the first month of the season. So they were 40-41. That's what I was looking up. You're absolutely right. 51-30 at home, which was tremendous, and 40-41 on the road. And the Red Sox, who led that division last year, they won the AL East. They were 45-36. So they were 5 games better than the Yankees on the road. And the Indians were 53-28, as were the Astros.
Wow.
So that's pretty much where you would expect the Yankees to be this year if they're going to compete and to win the AL East, because you can't just discount the Red Sox. They're there. As far as I'm concerned, they still have Sale and Price. So they're pretty much a force to be reckoned with.
That was my next question for you. How do you think the Yankees stack up against the Red Sox this year?
Look, Stanton doesn't hurt. I keep bringing him up, but I really think that adding him, and I don't think it really matters where you line these guys up to. That's another thing. Everybody was, when Judge led off the other day at spring training, it's like the atom was split, and everybody had to try to figure out what was going on because Aaron Judge was leading off. You could put these guys wherever. It's going to strike fear into pitchers everywhere. I don't care if it's David Price. I don't care if it's Chris Sale. These guys are lefties, and if the Yankees stack those 3 righties against them, sooner or later somebody's going to hurt these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Red Sox, and you look at the Red Sox roster this year, their lineup. You know, you got your Bogarts, you got your Brock Holtz, you got your Mitch Morelands. It's the same characters, cast of characters. Dustin Pedroia, Eduardo Nunez, Benintendi's back. This is basically the same team with the addition of J.D. Martinez. I mean, the Yankees added Giancarlo Stanton, and the Red Sox added J.D. Martinez. So I think the Yankees are pretty much. Look, Aaron Boone gives you the answer you would expect a manager to give you. They are the AL East champs until we knock them off.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees right now, even without Bird in the damn lineup, I think they're the better team than the Boston Red Sox.
Bold predictions. I like it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Chris. What's your ideal 1 to 5 Yankees lineup for this upcoming season?
My ideal 1 to 5. Wow, there's a couple, but my guy that leads off all the time is Gardner. I mean, I've been on this guy since 2005 when he was down with the Staten Island Yankees. He is underrated, and you know, he's the first. For the past 5 years, he was the first guy that everybody said, "When are we trading him? When are we trading him?" And then, I love Gardy. I love Gardy. He's great. Stop. You hated him, and I could bring up the tweets to show that you hated him. You wanted him out of here. But anyway, I digress. So my top 5, and it could be a couple of things, but I'll start with Gardner 1. And you guys might not agree, but I think I tend to agree with CC Sabathia, and I tend to agree with a couple of my Yes Network colleagues. Gary Sanchez is the best hitter on this team. I really think that, really? And I think he should. I think he should too. With this lineup the way it is, everybody wants to split up the righties. I don't want to do that just for the sake of doing. I don't think you have to do that. I think people overthink this, and people may think I'm wrong. That's their opinion. It's fine. This is my opinion. With these guys and the boppers they have, if you go, think about this for a second. You're facing a righty. All right, so you lead off Gardner. You have Sanchez second, Judge third, Stanton fourth, Didi fifth. I mean, does it matter? Do you need to throw Didi in there to split up the righties, or would you rather have Sanchez, Judge, Stanton, Didi? I mean, that's ridiculous.
You know, when I was thinking about this, I was definitely in the camp of betting Didi between the righties, but I think you're right. When you have guys that can go out and hit 70 home runs, it really doesn't matter, man.
And look, if I would do that until one of these guys started slumping, and then if Didi was hot, then I would say, all right, let's move Didi up to 3. So we'll go Gardner, Sanchez, Didi, and then do Judge, Stanton, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a living organism. This lineup, it's not like the way the lineup was when I was growing up. It was like, all right, Willie Randolph's batting second. You know what I mean? He's not going to move. This is a living, breathing organism. You can do. Aaron Boone, as Michael Kay said, you know, Brian Cashman opened the door, threw him the keys to the Lamborghini, and said, "Here you go, enjoy it."
Basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many things you could do with this lineup, and let's just say hypothetically, Bird is in the mix. Okay, so then you have Bird. Bird hit 6th. Bird's hitting 6th. And you know, there's a lot of people out there who think he could be the best hitter on the team. And you know what? That may be the case, but he's got to stay on the field. You know, we're never going to know if he doesn't stay on the field. Tyler Wade. David Cohn can't sing enough praises for this kid, Tyler Wade. Everybody down there at spring training. Ken Singleton was singing his praises, not only defensively but hitting as well. Aaron Boone loves Tyler Wade. It's no shock that this kid made the team. He was born actually. Wow, my senior year at college. I am old. Oh my god! I just saw it. Anyway, I just think that this team is set up. It's set up to rake. It's set up to score runs. It's set up to lead the league in runs with or without Bird to start the season. It's just amazing. And to go, as you guys said, from being the aw shucks, blushing, oh, we're not supposed to win 91 games, Yankees, to the team that, turns into the Gas House Gorillas from Bugs Bunny back in the day, and it's the hated empire once again, pretty much overnight. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be
Isn't
fun.
it crazy what Cashman did? Just like going back and looking at the smaller moves of what he did.
Hey,
drafting, it's unbelievable.
I heard something yesterday on the radio and I loved it, and I'm going to use it with you guys. It used to be about the sizzle, not the steak, or the sizzle, not the substance. Now Brian Cashman is all about the substance. It was Backpage. It was continuing that dynasty. It was, you bring in A-Rod in 2004. It was like a mallet over the head of baseball. Like, oh my God, now the Yankees have Alex Rodriguez. What the hell is going on? I mean, what parallel universe am I living in? And we can thank Aaron Boone for that, by the way, playing basketball. But I lost my train of thought. See, this is what happens when I go on tangents. What was the question again? I'll get back to it.
Oh, Amber, what was the question again?
It was
we're all lost.
Yeah.
Because I go off on tangents. I apologize.
I don't know. We've been talking about like 3 or 4 different things. I just.
All right, let me ask you this, Chris. So we saw the Yankees. Obviously their farm is their strength. We saw them give up Nick Solak in the Brandon Drury trade. He was the 9th-rated prospect for the Yankees, but you know what? In that farm system, he's still a damn good prospect.
Oh yeah, That, you know what? You brought it back to what I was talking about. Brian Cashman doing his job. I mean that, and it's about the substance, not the sizzle. It was about the back page and continuing to build off that dynasty. And I don't think, he has done. Think about the job he's done in the past 3 years. It has set this team up to be right back to being prominent, and not just for a couple of years. This is a decade. This is more than a decade. These guys stay healthy, and these guys stay with this team. There are building blocks even yet to come. And you brought up Solak. I mean, he was. You could trade him, just because
he was expendable. Yes,
he was expendable. I mean, it's just that deep now. And remember, the Yankees went from one of the worst farm systems to the top 2 in the league, like overnight, with 3 trades. I know people wanted Andrew Miller, but look what Andrew Miller brought back. Look what Chapman brought back. And then they got Chapman back anyway. So he has been an absolute OG the past couple of years. He has been ridiculously good at his job. And this lineup this year and everything that's about to surface from the farm system is all him. And it's all Damon Oppenheimer and everybody behind the scenes. That whole department has been phenomenal. And Yankee fans should be bowing down to them for the next decade plus, because of what is about to happen with this team.
You think about it, and then I think about Cashman almost all the time when I think about this. Like, what goes through a guy's head to go through something like this? Like, to see the preparation and the dedication that Cashman has, it's really, really, like, amazing. Like, into it, like, how much thought, and then you think of the moves that he makes, and it's like, oh my God, these make so much sense. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's had some stinkers too. We can't just sit here and sing his praises. He did bring Jarrett Wright in here. He did bring Carl Pavano in here. I mean, but they're not all going to be home runs. What he's done, though, in a very short time, shows you how good he is at his job. I think that's the common denominator, and that's the bottom line. Yes, you could point your finger at certain things that he's done in the past, and you could do that ad nauseum. But what this man has been able to do, and it's not like he's adding salary either. they're subtracting. I know they brought in Stanton, but that move's a no-brainer. Jeter puts that on the table, and for the prospects and Starlin Castro that they sent to Miami,
how do you not?
You had to. You had to. At first, I sat there and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, why? Why are they doing this?" They had this vibe last year, you know. It was the gutty, gritty, like, young Yankees, and now they're bringing in Stanton, and they're going to go back to, as you guys said, the Empire again. And I sat back, and before I tweeted anything, I kept thinking, and I was like, wait a minute. What the hell am I thinking? What are they giving up? And listen, Starlin Castro is no slouch. What he did last year especially, yes, tremendous second baseman, tremendous hitter, and he won't be in Miami too long. He'll be definitely with a contender somewhere at the trade deadline as they continue to reshape that organization. And just really quick, another tangent. For everybody that doubts the captain and what he's doing down there in Miami, you know, he made it blatantly clear and blatantly obvious he's running a business. And they've been in the red for God knows how long. He couldn't continue to do that. And I know the players were upset, but he has a plan in place. And I want to ask you guys a question. You know who Derek Jeter is. Do you think Derek Jeter wants to lose?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Who's his manager, by the way?
In Miami?
Yeah, in Miami.
Oh, Don Mattingly.
Yeah.
Who brought Jeter up in spring training and taught him how to run off the field? Don Mattingly. These two have a chance to build something together, and that means everything to Derek Jeter. That means everything.
I really think he wanted to build it himself. You know, I didn't think he wanted to be. Yeah,
right. He wants to be the architect. And look, he had to do some. Yeah, he had to do some. You know, shady. Well, not shady. That's the wrong word. He had to do some. He had to do some bad things, like, you know, the scout with cancer that he had to let go. He fired him. You know, there are a lot of people on Twitter that turned on him for that. But you know, you look at it, and it's a business. You know, he's going to bring in his guys. You know, if somebody else takes over, yes, they're going to bring in their people.
Yeah,
and I might be out of a job, and you know what?
Can't be having that.
Am I going to be upset? Am I going to be upset? Of course. But I get it. It's the business. There's turnover, especially when people take over. So people just have to understand that. It's a business. He's running it that way. And if there's one guy on this planet who doesn't want to lose, it's Derek Jeter. He's going to do a lot of it this year. But I can guarantee he has a plan in place, and they're going to start rebuilding that from the ground up, and the Marlins will be competitors before you know it. And if they win a World Series before the Mets do, I don't even want to hear Met fans, because that is not going to be pretty. That is not going to be pretty. Derek Jeter and Don Mattingly hoisting up the World Series trophy. Oh, baby.
Yikes. So going off a past point with the Yankees farm system, let's say they're going to make a big splash at the trade deadline. Do you think there's one prospect or another that they would, you know, rather give up, like maybe a Clint Frazier?
He could be a possibility, because and here's why. They are very high on Esteban Florial. And I watched his BP down in spring training, and I could see why. The guy is a freak. He's a potential 5-tool guy. He goes, you know, first to third. You blink your eyes, and he's there. And Frazier might be expendable too. I mean, I like Clint too. I like what he brings to the table. I love how hard he works. And it was just awful that he got that concussion, and that's how he got it. You know, running through a wall. You know what I mean? Yeah. He gets hurt, and he misses spring training, and, you know, it gets set back. He really wanted to make the club. He knew that it was going to be tough with all the outfielders there. But he could be a guy that's expendable. Florial, I think, is untouchable. I don't think that guy's going anywhere. That's your center fielder of the future right there.
Do you think there's anyone that's untouchable, like maybe Gleyber Torres or anyone else?
Oh, him too. Torres and Florial, they're going to be Yankees. If
Absolutely
I had to,
untouchable.
Oh yeah. I listen. Unless you're, I think Kershaw is a free agent shortly. But unless the Dodgers are willing to part with Kershaw, I don't think that's happening. No.
Would you include
Yankees are gonna be very
Andujar?
smart about this. Would I include Andujar in it?
Yeah.
He might be expendable too. I do because
Really?
as they showed you, they picked up Drury. He's going to be your opening day third baseman, and they're hoping that Drury could be their third baseman for years to come. I mean, it's basically his job to lose. This is only his fourth year. Going to be his fourth year in the league, so it's his job to lose. And if he's not doing the job, and Andujar, sorry, that's the pronunciation. And if Andujar is in the minors, he's going to be up here, and Drury's going to find some pine quick. So that's not. I don't think that's what they want. I think they want him to succeed. But it's going to be interesting. This is the fun of it, guys. It's riding the wave and seeing what happens and seeing who shakes out and who sticks. But they have that nucleus. They have that foundation built. So some bricks can fall off, but there's going to be other bricks that could be masoned right on, and everything could just go. It's gonna be a well-oiled machine from here on out, unless you have multiple injuries where
Across
4 or 5 guys are out of the lineup. But
you see what happened across the river, so the Queens. Forget about it. All right. Well, Nick,
Joe, you had a question?
Yeah, actually, I was just wanting to bank off what you guys did say before with Clint Frazier. We did see, in the off season, and I like you guys were saying before, for a mid-season trade, possibly with Clint Frazier, someone that is touchable in the Yankees farm system. We saw in the off season, right? We heard about Garrett Cole for Clint Frazier.
Yeah.
Does a starting pitcher mean something to the Yankees for Clint Frazier? Would you is that a possibility we could see?
I think it's all about need, guys. It's all about where the Yankees are, who gets hurt, what they need at that point. And
down the line.
I think a guy like Frazier is a guy that they could spin and get a starting pitcher or get somebody in the lineup that they need. It's just, look at last year. I'll give you last year as an example. Ellsbury was hurt. Frazier was up here. Ellsbury was working his way back, and everybody was like, oh, what's going to happen to Frazier? He's hitting the cover off the ball. What's going to happen when Ellsbury comes back? And I can remember Joe Girardi saying, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We don't know what's going to be the case in 10 days from now. And in 10 days from then, who got hurt? Aaron Hicks. Who stayed with the team? Clint Frazier.
Yeah.
It's all about need. So if the trade deadline's coming up, the Yankees need something, they're going to put a package together. And if they want to bring back, A-caliber talent, they're going to have to trade A-caliber talent. And he, unfortunately, he fits that bill. I mean, and if he goes down there and he recovers from the concussion and he does well at Scranton Wilkes-Barre and he does get another taste of it up there in the Bronx and he's doing well, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked because that's how high this team is on Florial.
Chris, you mentioned Florial just now and before. Who else besides him really impressed you and surprised you at Yankees camp this spring training?
You know who I like, and I haven't mentioned his name once? Billy McKinney. He has pop off the bat, but he's another one. They were playing him at first base too because of the outfield logjam, and I like him. I like his swing. I like he has some pop. He can hit to all fields. He hustles. He reminds me a lot of Gardner. It's kind of eerie how much he reminds me of Brett Gardner back in 2005. And, if they were really serious about McKinney at first base, who knows? I mean, and they just got Mike Ford back from the Rule 5 draft from the Mariners, so he's back with Scranton. So they have Mike Ford, they have Billy McKinney who could come up. I think they're pretty set if something happens to Bird. But that's another guy that impressed me. And Duhar, McKinney, Florial for the brief amount of time he was there. Just specimens, man. And one more. I'll give you one more. Justice Sheffield. I think with a little bit more seasoning, he's going to be a lefty that's going to be very successful in the Yankees rotation or someone else's rotation, but I'm pretty sure the Yankees are going to want to keep him around.
Were you surprised that Domingo Germán didn't make the Major League roster?
I was, but I understand why he did not. He wasn't going to be in the rotation, and they don't want him in the bullpen right now.
Yeah,
they want, and he could have definitely been like a Phil Hughes 2009, throwing 97 out of the bullpen and coming in and getting guys out late in the game. But right now, there's that word again. Yankees don't need that, and they don't want that from him. What they want from him is to keep him extended, and they want him, if they do need a starter down the road, he's their first call up. I have to believe that's the case.
All right, Chris, last question before I let you go. Who will hit more home runs this year? Stanton and Judge, or Cespedes and Bruce?
Ooh.
This is gut instinct.
You know what? The short porch never fails. I'm going Yankees. It's Stanton and
That's
Judge.
what we all want to hear.
Because those guys hit the opposite way. We saw what Judge did. I mean, Judge didn't discriminate. He tattooed balls all over that stadium. I mean, remember the home run derby. He wasn't just pulling the ball left field. He was hitting them right center, right field,
dead center
straight away,
field.
dead center, left. He was everywhere. And, you know, his shoulder is 100%. He had the surgery. He's good to go. And if they do, let's see, I just want to check on something for you guys. I'm pretty sure Germán is on the 40, so they would not have to make a move to bring him up to the team. But he was absolutely tremendous at spring training. 15 and 2/3, 17 strikeouts. He started twice, 2.30 ERA. So he pitched like that.
Good. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All right, Chris, yes or no question, real quick.
Yeah.
Is this the year the quest for number 28 ends?
Well,
I know it's too early to say, but
we can't just poo-poo the Astros either, guys.
right, yeah.
They're still around, and they added Garrett Cole. So they're going to be tough competition outside the division. Who knows what the Angels are going to be, but they're in that Astros division, so they're going to have to contend with them 18, 19 times this year. The Red Sox are the defending AL East champs. It's going to be interesting, but I think, you know, if the Yankees could hold it together with the starters and that lineup, it is as advertised. 28 is going to be raised to the rafters in the 2019 season.
All right, that's all we can hope for.
Bold predictions. I like it.
Scorching hot takes.
Yep.
All right, Chris.
Left and right.
Thank you so much for coming on. Before you leave, any final thoughts? Final comments?
And you know what? I just wanted to tell you guys again, I appreciate you having me on. I as you could see, losing trains of thought and everything else. I cannot talk enough Yankees baseball, and I've been around this team since I was a zygote. Did an ultrasound. They did an ultrasound. They saw an interlocking NY on my forehead. I mean, this is my life. You know, it's been my life ever since I was born, and to be in a position I'm in right now is truly a dream come true. And I just want to thank you guys for having me on. I truly appreciate it.
Believe me, Chris, the pleasure's all ours. So,
we really
where can people find you on social media, Instagram, Twitter?
They don't want to do that. They're just gonna.
Nah, come on, Chris.
They're just gonna troll me. They're just gonna troll me.
We got your back. Don't worry about it.
At Chris Shearn, yes.
All right. You have your own podcast as well, right?
We're working on it. We're working on it. We're trying to. I can't really say anything about it, but hopefully it's going to come back. and let's just say that it'll have rotating special guests, and it's going to be a show that people don't want to miss.
Interesting.
Can't
wait.
That's what we're hoping for.
Can't wait, Chris. Thank you so much,
All right,
Chris.
boys. You
Really
have a great
appreciate
night,
it.
and thank you again. No
Good night.
problem.
Let's go
All right,
Yankees.
bye-bye.
Let's go Yankees.
All right.